I just want to find out, Minister. You mentioned every legislation that was guiding you in the whole process. Now, what company or the criteria of the panel that helped you to identify these candidates? Because it was, applications were about 500 and something. And there was a minimum requirement, which that 500 and something, they were qualifying as per the minimum requirements on the Gazette. Now, I tend to believe you used a panel to shortlist. What was the criteria from 500 to 20? We are going to interact. Yeah.
You can press the mic.
No, thank you so much, Chairperson and Honorable Maseko, for the question. You know, when you give a panel a responsibility, the approach that I applied was to say it must be merit-based. We need to first identify the gaps in our SETA system. We need to also identify the strengths of which they were guided by the performance evaluation report that was produced by NSA. Then I said they must also consider demographics and the criteria as stipulated by the Skills Development Act, and also consider the Constitution, the provisions in our Constitution in Chapter 2 of the Bill of Rights. But in principle, I wanted meritocracy approach to be applied, and also to make sure that we look at the issues of demographics, representation of young women, representation of young people, representation of everyone, and various races in the country. However, Chair, it's very important also to indicate that the South African Constitution prohibits unfair discrimination on the grounds of race. It recognizes that race is a relevant factor in some contexts, in particular when we're trying to address the imbalances of the past. However, I felt that they should also consider that so that there is a reflection of the general population of the country. And in terms of their profiles, we appointed very reputable and highly profiled individuals, but on voluntary basis. They don't claim for executing this responsibility on behalf of the minister. We just ask for a panel to oversee and preside over the process on voluntary basis.
Okay. Just for me to understand, so the shortlisting was volunteers?
No, it was done by the panel. Yeah.
Minister, press the mic. Okay, we want you to be on record. When you answer, please put on the mic. Yeah, you can clarify that part again, Minister.
It's not volunteers as if we went to the streets and asked for people to come and sift and select those who meet the criteria. The entire exercise was done by the independent panel that was appointed by the minister. However, it's very important for me to also register that they do that in voluntary basis. They do not claim for exercising this responsibility on behalf of the minister, and those people are highly profiled. I looked at the strengths of those and see their experience as well in the sector, because our sector needs a turnaround strategy. So I'm confident that the people that I appoint, be it looking over or presiding over NSF or NSFAS, as well as the councils and this one, they are credible and reputable in the society. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So that panel, who were the panel that the minister appointed to do that shortlisting?
Thank you so much for the question again. I believe all of us, we understand Section 11 of the Skills Development Act that says the minister must appoint the chairpersons of the accounting authority. So there's no need for me to come and declare my volunteers, people assisting me voluntarily to execute my responsibilities. I am not in a position. It is the minister. If there's something wrong that you believe it happened with the entire process, better you should, the person who is empowered by the legislation to execute that responsibility. That's unfortunate part of it.
Thank you very much, because we haven't gotten to that extent that we can be given the chance to do that. You did on our behalf. You withdrawn the appointment. So surely with the withdrawal of the appointment of the board, it started from the phase where there was the vetting that you appointed. Now, those are the people that you depended on to make sure that when they do vetting, they give you the people that you believe are going to be qualified or are the right people ethically, morally, and professionally. Now, that was not the case because you did withdraw. Now, I'm asking those people that you, the powers invested in you, you appointed people to do the vetting. Who are those people that you appointed as a panel to do the vetting to end up with that 20? That's what I'm trying to find out, because initially the foundation phase of what went right or wrong, it started on that foundation. So I'm trying to find out who are those people. If you can help us to share with us, who are those people that you appointed?
I think I must clarify, maybe you did not get my response correctly. The panel did not do any vetting. It was not amongst the scope of work that they must look at. There is an independent service provider that does vetting, be it you are employing a senior manager in the public service. So it's IME, what is it? MIE that does vetting. The panel doesn't do any vetting or screening of candidates. They only look at the criteria, they look at the qualifications, and then they recommend to the minister. Then I then speak to the DG to say, from the panel of those who do the vetting, they follow the USM processes. Then those people take over. It's MIE that does the vetting, not the minister, because I don't have competencies to actually do the vetting.
Now, I think we are moving forward a little bit. It's MIE. Now, what I was asking from initially is take us on the process. So you got 500. MIE got involved and it did the vetting and shortlisted to 20. Am I on the right track?
No,
Oh, okay.
no, you are not on the right track.
Okay, so
the
talk to-
independent panel does the selection, the sifting, and then they also select those that meet the criteria. And then from there, they start looking at meritocracy and look at other considerations in terms of the report that they received from NSA as far as the performance of these entities. Then they look at the strengths, because amongst the critical issues that we look at is governance or leadership from those who are recommended to serve in these boards. So the 20 that is being vetted are those that are recommended by the panel. But within those, there's also another pool that normally becomes on standby to say, if this one doesn't make it, that is reserved by the panel that is overseeing the process, to say we have an option to take another person for a vetting process should this one comes negative. But the vetting is not done by an independent panel. It is done by a body responsible for the screening and vetting of professionals in public service.
Thank you very much. Who were on the panel? How many panel members did you have?
Normally, I don't like big panels. I remember I think with NSFAS, there were about 5 or 6. With this one, there were about 5 again, 5 or 6.
Can you share the names?
No,
Or
I can't.
you
I can't share the names. I
Okay,
indicated before I started that whatever comes, the
Okay.
responsibility lies with the minister, not with them.
Okay.
I'm not going to drag them in this.
Okay,
Yes.
it's okay. Let me continue. So what qualified the withdrawal from you?
Basically, because I'm speaking to the society, I understand. I'm not only responding to the committee. It's very important for me to indicate that as a public representative, consciously, I have a responsibility to listen to what the citizens are saying. We saw what was trending on social media because I did not receive an official report or any correspondence that is complaining about the process itself. I must register that. After seeing those trends on social media, I took it upon me as a responsible citizen to say, let me listen, what is the outcry about? Then I could pick up that amongst the issues, in particular from Honorable How is that the recommended candidates to serve as chairs, they are viewed or perceived to be more political bloated or associated with some of the politicians within the movement. Then I said, I must be responsible. I must take the considerations and concerns of the public and respond to them, because there was nothing too personal about the people that were recommended. However, I must also put it on record that the panel recommended highly qualified candidates. And I was happy to see and to share with the portfolio committee today their profiles. However, there's nothing illegal about it. There are no flaws. There's no breach of any legislative imperative. Everything was followed. And the process was beyond reproach.
Okay, thank you very much. And I mean, the meaning of the beyond reproach, my interpretation is quite different, because you never, in your withdrawal, you didn't defend the process itself. And what you are saying to us, the process was followed. You never defended the list. And what you are saying is beyond reproach, which means that everything was perfect about that. Why are you making that comment now if you did a withdrawal and you say the list itself was beyond reproach?
If you read the statement, there was no way I said that the process was flawed. I even indicated how many people had PhDs, how many with masters, but it was based on human grounds, responding to the outcry of our citizens. Because I understand I'm here voted in this parliament by the people of this country. I have a responsibility to listen to them. When they are complaining about something, I have to be responsive to their needs. So it was just on humanitarian grounds.
Thank you very much. Maybe before my time goes, we've got the SETA board member, Ms. Peng, that was going to be retained. And surely it's one of the best performing when you look at that. And she also received a letter of withdrawal. All of them, yeah. Okay.
Yes, chairperson and members of the portfolio committee, all these people or candidates that were recommended, they did receive withdrawal letters, all of them. The day you saw the statement, it was before, we started by issuing withdrawal letters, then we issued a statement as the department. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There are best performing setters that I can mention. I think Agri-SETA, the SASETA, the FASET, the MQA. But the Agri-SETA was the only one that you retained the chairperson. Why change the others if they were also best performing? And the reasoning for retaining Maspeng was there that because of the work that she was doing. What were the reasons for changing where the setters are performing?
Thank you. It is not only one candidate that was retained, it's two of them. Yes, it's two. The other issue that we were confronted with to indicate before, because it's very important for me to share with the study group, for instance, health and welfare, and she was the only woman, and one would love her to come back. Others, they couldn't meet the criteria that was put by the time. That's why the chair was complaining about the dates, the closing date, and on the gazette. Because I received calls from various constituencies, chair, to say with the first gazette that we published, we're still coming with masters, which is going to deprive some of the people from various sectors that they believe they're going to add value. So we had to be tactical in our approach because we must be a responsible government. I responded again. We had to remove the first draft of the gazette, and I had to say this time around preferable so that we become flexible. So it's one of those challenges that we're facing. Honorable Maseko, thank you.
Thank you. We'll come back if we still have time. Honorable